I'm going to move on to a story about a high school football coach. And it's this dude right here. His name is Trey Campbell. And the thing about Trey that you need to know is that he has basically two roles. He works at Northwest High School in Tennessee. And he has two jobs. He is a school resource officer. Basically, he is the cop assigned to work at the high school. That's his actual job. And he's a volunteer with the school's football team, which is fine. So he has those two roles at the school. And the thing is, this dude is trying to become the next Joe Kennedy. Who is Joe Kennedy? Kennedy is the former assistant football coach in Bremerton, Washington, who really wanted to pray, but like he doesn't just want to pray silently to himself because no one will know he's doing it. So he's like, you guys, I'm going to go to the 50-yard line after games, right after the final whistle, and I want all the media standing around here to take pictures of me, and I want all the students to surround me, because for him, it was all a performance. And then he got fired for this. Actually, he quit, but like he was pressured, he said. And it went up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said it's fine. He's allowed to pray after games. The game is over. And then he's like, fine, I won. I'm going back on the team now so I can pray after the games. He did it one time. And then he's like, how come the media is not paying attention to me anymore? And then he quit for good. Anyway, that's Joe Kennedy. Trey Campbell is trying to become that guy. And here's how I know that. Because according to news reports, and I will show you this, this is from September 5th. This is a couple of Fridays ago. Look what happened. Friday night, Campbell, in his role as an assistant coach on the football team, was removed at halftime of the game against another team by the principal of his school. By some accounts, Campbell was holding a Bible and leading players in prayer. So this is during the game, allegedly. This dude is just walking around on the sidelines, preaching to the athletes as they are just standing around there. What the hell? By the way, apparently earlier that day, when he was a cop at the school, he was also preaching to kids. We found this out after this Friday thing. So maybe the school administrators were like, what is this guy doing? And so they talked to him during the game. They're like, the hell are you doing? You can't walk around with the Bible on the sidelines. We know this is Tennessee, but you can't do that. You can't preach at the athletes in the middle of a game. And the principal, her name is Brandy Blackley, she's basically told him to stop. And then he said no. And then she told him, I'm assuming she did it politely, she said, well, then you need to get the hell out of here. And so he left, but not before basically proving all those allegations were true. This is what we found out the day after that game. I stood by my faith because that's what I told my boys they needed to do, said Campbell. I told them I loved them, but this was just the beginning of their journey with Christ. And that this is what it looks like when you are doing right by the Lord. The enemy does whatever he can to draw you from the Lord. And it's like your job is to tell them where to run. What are you doing? You are not a pastor when you are on the clock on the field. We don't care that you're a volunteer coach. You are a coach. Do your coaching. So this dude is just admitting, yeah, I was preaching to the kids because that's what I have to do. So anyway, I don't know what the hell he was talking about, but I will tell you, none of that actually helped the team. You know how I know that? Because that very game, when he was taken off the sidelines, you know what the final score was? His team lost 35-0. His preaching wasn't even good enough for a field goal. So, like, he's not a good coach. He's not a good adult supervisor of this team. And he left. And at this point, basically, everyone's on the same page. Like, this guy was doing something he should not have been doing. The school asked him to stop. He didn't. So then they asked him to leave, and he did. So at this point, there are two groups involved. You have the public school and you have the sheriff's office that actually employs him and puts him at the school to be their resource officer. So at this point, the sheriff's office, when they find out, wait, this guy's preaching to kids during the school day too, they decide to put him on paid leave, which is fine, so they can conduct an investigation. But like, you leave the school right now. You're not allowed to be here. We're going to figure out what's really going on here. I will tell you, the sheriff's office investigation, as far as I can tell right now, is not complete. Okay. Meanwhile, the school, the Clarksville Montgomery County Schools, said we're going to conduct our own investigation, and that one is complete. More on that in a second. But just to state the obvious here, no one would have cared if this dude prayed on his own time, even during a game, if he wanted to stand on the sidelines, and in between plays, if he wanted to be like, please, God, give us 1 point. No one would have cared. No one would have cared if the students prayed on their own, because that's a thing they can totally do and no one's stopping them. The only issue here is that a public school football coach is using his position and his power to try to convert children. And I would think conservative Christians would have a problem with that if a coach happened to be atheist, satanic, a Muslim, whatever. Then they would have a problem with it, but I don't know. They don't have a problem with this guy. Anyway, all this happened on Friday. By Tuesday, the administration had finished their investigation into the matter, and they issued a statement that was so long. Basically, here's the thing. They do an investigation into a guy who works at their school. You can't like go public with it. You can't tell the media, yeah, let us show you his personnel files. But in this case, they did issue a very long statement, and it was reprinted in full by a local newspaper. And let me share with you some of the stuff they said about this guy, what they found out, because it is wild. Okay. This is from the school spokesperson. Beginning the morning of September 5th, which was that Friday, witnesses observed behavior from Campbell that was inconsistent with those standards that they hold at the school and with his normal conduct. He doesn't normally do this shit. At the beginning of the school day, Campbell carried a Bible and told staff he was walking in the Spirit today, quoting scripture about rebuking those who come against you. It's like, my dude, your job is to be a police officer. What are you doing? A witness reported that when Campbell was encouraging that no one was opposing him, he shared a story about a volleyball game the night before. Witnesses reported that Campbell explained that during the volleyball game, the Spirit gave him a word from Scripture to tell the girls. And after sharing it at halftime, the team came back to win. And all I take from that is this dude wanted to talk to the girls in their locker room during halftime, which is, I'm not saying anything bad happened, but it's not great because you're not a coach on the team. Anyway, throughout the day, witnesses reported and video footage corroborated that Campbell carried a Bible with him, spoke with students as they entered the school that morning, in the cafeteria, and other areas of the school while quoting scripture from the Bible. At this point, this dude has just lost it. He has no clue what his job is. He's just preaching at anyone who wants to listen, like he's on the street and annoying you as you're walking to whatever it is you do. I'm skipping around some stuff here that I don't think is that important. Later that evening at the football game, multiple witnesses observed and video footage corroborated. By the way, I looked for these videos. I could not find them online. I really wanted them. They observed Campbell spending significant time throughout the game on the sidelines with players and other students quoting scripture, holding a Bible up to spectators, and leading prayers. A witness stated that every time I looked and saw him, he was talking to a player or players with the Bible or holding hands with head bowed. They're doing prayer circles on the sidelines in the middle of a game. No wonder they lost. A cell phone video surfaced that appeared to show Campbell step in front of the student section, leading a faith over fear chant. Now he's hijacking the job of the cheerleaders. What are you doing? Wait, it gets worse. Witnesses noted and video footage corroborated that Campbell became visibly emotional and confrontational, basically when the principal addressed what he was doing. ... Multiple witnesses stated that when asked to stop causing a disruption and put his Bible away, Campbell stated loudly that I can't do it, I won't do it, and my job is to save these babies. Oh my God. Like, I want to be clear. He is not denying the things that he was accused of doing, which is not a great look in the case of a lawsuit. And then later on, Campbell chose to leave campus voluntarily. This statement is still going on. It is important to emphasize that all witnesses described this behavior as uncharacteristic of Campbell. Witnesses described him as extreme, defiant, and unreasonable on Friday, but also consistently noted that they had never, ever seen him act this way before. Okay, so it's not usual for him to do this, but on this day, he was definitely doing this shit. So what I take away from that is that the school was right to go talk to him at halftime and ask him to stop. They were right to ask him to leave. He left voluntarily, but they were right to come after him because I think even the school knows we can't defend this. We will get sued if we allow you to do this, and we would lose that lawsuit, and you're not worth it. Which is, I will say, the school is handling this exactly the right way. That is how I would want them to approach this. I don't need this guy to be fired. Maybe he's dumb enough to not know any better. But then it's the school's responsibility to tell him, you can't do this, you need to stop. And clearly, based on his own words, he was not going to stop. So they asked him to leave. He left. And that's the situation we're in right now. So kudos to the school district for now. Now, I will say, in that statement I just showed you, nowhere in there did the district say what this guy's punishment would be. They didn't say he was kicked off the football team. They did not say they were going to ask the sheriff's office not to have him as an officer. Just my opinion here, I'm purely speculating. I think they are waiting for the sheriff's office to complete their investigation, and then they'll announce something. Maybe. Okay, so that's what I'm waiting to hear. What are they going to do with this guy? Now, imagine you are Trey Campbell at this point. What do you do? Because clearly your hero is Joe Kennedy, and you want the attention and the book deal and the Pure Flix movie, the biopic that was awful. Like, you want all of that. You want the attention on yourself because you want to be a martyr for the cause. What do you do at this point, especially when the school says you can't be on campus while we are investigating you? Well, guess what happened last Friday on September 12th at the next football game at this campus? Check this out. It turns out there's a Republican running for Congress in his community, and that Republican candidate's like, I can jump on this bandwagon. So check this out. Tress, I don't know how you want to pronounce that, but let's go with Tress. Tress Whittam, a Republican candidate for Tennessee's 7th Congressional District, and assistant coach Trey Campbell will host a Friday Night Lights for Faith gathering ahead of the next game on September 12th. The event is a response to President Donald Trump's national call to prayer, according to a press release from Whittam's campaign. It's also a show of support for Campbell, who has been at the center of controversy over proselytizing at football games. Attendees are encouraged to bring their Bibles. So you have a Republican candidate who's like, I'm going to make this my cause because what they did to you is horrible. And it's like, no, I just told you what they did to him, and everything they did to this dude is exactly appropriate. He should have been reprimanded and punished and asked to leave the game when he refused to comply. So they held this little vigil. And I will say, Trey Campbell was a part of this prayer circle. And later on, some of the people who attended handed out Trump Bibles to people heading into the football game. Trey Campbell, I don't think, was participating in that. But they were handing out Trump Bibles to people at these games. Anyway, Trey Campbell has not done anything heroic. He is not a martyr. He turned a competition for kids into a showcase for his own Christian ego. That doesn't deserve to be rewarded. But if you are a failed Senate candidate like this Republican dude who's running for office, you will gladly use the myth of Christian persecution to boost your own campaign. Just to give you some background on that guy, Tress Whittam, the candidate for Congress, he ran for Senate last year, for U.S. Senate. He ended up losing in the GOP primary to Marsha Blackburn, who is now a senator from Tennessee. But that primary was not close. She beat him 89% to like 11%. He got crushed. Even Republicans do not like this guy. So now, because he's a failure, he's like, I'm going to run again because I know you all love me. And they don't, but whatever. So I'm still waiting to hear what the punishment for the football coach would be. I wanted to show you one last thing here, which is that a right-wing website asked a lawyer who works for Mike Pence's group, what do you think about all this? And check this out. Mark Wheat is the general counsel for Mike Pence's group, Advancing American Freedom. And look at what this lawyer said. My understanding is that Campbell's prayer time was during a game where the football players are there to be coached on strategy tactics, getting them pumped up to go back on the field. So that's pretty different from the Coach Kennedy case, which is an amazing right-wing way of saying, don't compare the two, because what Joe Kennedy did with this Supreme Court, thankfully, is totally legal. You can totally pray in public after games, even though you're still technically on the clock, because your job doesn't end after the final whistle if you're a high school football coach. But like, we can't even defend what this guy's doing. So like, he's on his own. Anyway, I think what his stunt makes clear is that he does not care about these students. What Campbell is doing shows he doesn't care about the students. He sees them as props in his own religious play that he's putting on. He wants to exploit those kids because they have nowhere to go. They have to be on the sidelines. He wants to exploit them and make them follow his lead because he's the adult on the sidelines. One of them, that's not about spiritual conviction. The children are just pawns that he wants to use for his own quest for attention. And that's the problem here. It's not about church-state separation because the school's handling this properly. It's that he made the football game and the school and the students, all of that is secondary to like his own desire to be a Christian martyr. So kudos to the school. They've handled it properly so far. But unless guys like this are actually punished for their illegal Christian showboating, I think you're just going to see more things like this start to happen. So I am waiting to see what the school does to him. I don't know what that is yet. But anyway, just wanted to share that with you because this is what some coaches are doing. All right, what do we got here? What the heck is a faith over fear chant? I guess if you're at a football game, the one thought going through your head, if you are a high school student watching your school play a football game, it's that you're scared shitless. I don't know. I don't know where the fear is in a football game, but this guy's leading the cheers on the sideline like, trust in my Trump Bible book. Faith over fear. I don't know what they're supposed to fear other than everything because you're religious and you think Satan is everywhere. I don't know what he was going for. Whatever it was, it's not appropriate. Exactly what God does the other team pray to? That one is better. Yeah, I mean, no kidding. Pray to the other team's God because they're winning their football games. Your God is clearly not on your side. So stop praying to that one. My God. Go to the satanic one or whatever the other school's pointing to because at least that God knows how to play football. Maybe he was drunk. I would not go that far. Spiritually drunk, metaphorically drunk, something got in this guy where he's like, I can't do my job anymore. I just got to preach. Which, again, then you're in the wrong line of work. Because can you imagine if this happened not at a football game, but while this guy was on duty as a cop? Like, this could have ended so much worse. Amazing how the people of faith enjoy breaking the rules. It's almost like they don't think the rules apply to them. And that is the motto of the Republican Party. Wonder if that candidate's campaign funds went toward those Trump Bibles. Aren't they like $60 each? That is a good question. I do wonder where they got those Trump Bibles from. I don't think they brought their own, because why would they have that many? So I don't know the answer to that. I also cannot imagine that dude has a lot of campaign funds. I saw a video of the guy talking to a news station about what he was doing. I don't know. Like, obviously, I don't like his politics, but he just doesn't strike me as a charismatic candidate who can bring in all the campaign funds. I would say that about Democrats too, who are less than enthusiastic to watch. I don't know how much money this guy's raking in, especially, more than a year before the actual election and several months before the primary election.